Hello and welcome to Rendezvous. You're joined with me, Jyoti Sindar, and today we're discussing an issue that is continuing to rise, and that is diabetes. As always, please do tweet your views to me at Gurjot Sindar or the team at BritAsia TV. Last year, there were 163,000 new diagnoses, the biggest annual increase since 2008, GP figures showed. This means 6% of UK adults are registered as diabetic. An estimated 850,000 more have diabetes without knowing it. Diabetes UK says the rise is largely fueled by type 2 diabetes linked to obesity and unhealthy lifestyles. It says more needs to be done to target those at risk. I'm joined today in the studio by Dal Dhaliwal. Thank you very much for joining me.
Hi, Jyoti. Thank you for having me.
Now, before we go into more detail of the topic at hand, can you please tell our viewers a bit more about yourself and what you do?
Okay. My name's Dal, and I've been in the health and fitness industry for 15 years now, and I'm also the first health fitness female Asian coach to have her own studio gym in the UK. I specifically train females, although I have got a lot of experience working with children and working with men as well in the past.
Nice. Now, can you tell us a bit more about the difference between type 1 and type 2 diabetes? I mean, do you know which one is worse and why?
Type 1 diabetes is not so common above the age of 25, whereas type 2 is very common above the age of 25. It's known to be an adult diabetes, so associated with adults, whereas type 1 is more associated with adolescents.
Okay.
In the South Asian community, there's a lot of sufferers, and as you've already covered, there's a lot of people who are suffering and don't know they're actually suffering from diabetes. A lot of it's to do with genetics as well. We're a bit more prone to have diabetes, especially diabetes 2.
Why is that?
It's just genetically, it's just one of those, you know, with the cultural background as well, we're more prone to have that. A lot of it now is linked, it's exacerbated by our dietary and our lifestyle as well. Inactivity has a lot to do with it as well.
That was my next question. I mean, what what you think the rise in diabetes is? I mean, amongst Asians, it's largely stated that, you know, a lot of Asians are more prone to be diabetic than Caucasians, and you know, obviously we have laddu and we have a lot of sweets within our diets. I mean, is that a factor? Are we not exercising enough? Are we eating too unhealthily?
Yeah, diabetes 2 is linked to obesity as well. So obviously weight gain is linked to unhealthy nutritional diets as well. So I think in our culture, there's still not that awareness. We're not aware of what we should be doing. Diabetes, from my past experience, is not taken seriously, and yet we all know somebody in the family who's probably suffering from diabetes. Definitely diet has got something to do with it as well. So if you've already got high sugar levels in your bloodstream and you're eating quite a lot of sweet stuff as well, that's going to just increase that issue with your high sugar levels.
Regardless of whether you exercise or not.
You can't cure diabetes 2, but you can prevent it from worsening, and you can maintain quite a healthy lifestyle if you make a few changes.
What do you think the proportion of or why do you think the proportion of Asians with diabetes is so large, apart from the sort of sweets and the genetic link?
A lot of it's got to do with unhealthy lifestyles as well, and I think it is awareness again, kind of a little bit narrow-minded when it comes to health issues as diabetes. I think a lot of our community don't realise the seriousness of it, what it can lead to as well. Prevention is better than cure, so if we can adopt a healthy lifestyle and start thinking a little bit more about our diet, generally for the whole family, I think, prevention is a lot better than cure.
So you mentioned type 2, you can't treat that, but type 1 you can treat and you can get better from that?
Well, treatment for both diabetes is you can have insulin injected into the body. Which is obviously that's something that is a long-term thing. Once you've been,
not a fan of needles.
But once you've been told you've got diabetes 2, you're on insulin, then you'll have to take that for the rest of your life. But there are things that you can do to kind of lessen the impact of the diabetes 2.
Yeah. Do you think places like America or even the UK, where diabetes and obesity is a rising issue, should have sort of a similar tax scheme to what they've got in India, which is the sugar scheme, to prevent a rise in it? You know, they've now put I'm not sure if it's enforced yet, but there's a tax scheme or idea on sort of sugar-related substances and to help prevent the rise of obesity and this disease.
I think we're going to go that way as well. I think India is globally is one of the largest country that suffers from diabetes in the entire globally. I think there's something like 65 million something sufferers there. So yes, I think if we don't create that awareness, I mean, programs like this is fantastic because we're creating that awareness as well. We could see ourselves going that way as well in the future, because lifestyle's becoming unhealthy and people are not eating right and they're not exercising. So.
Why do you think that Asians don't take it seriously?
I think it's like a lot of things. I think it comes down to education. What I've generally found with the clients that I work with as well at my studio, you wait for a diagnosis first before you do anything. So it's sort of kind of you're diagnosed with something and then you think, oh gosh, I need to do something. Sometimes it can be a bit late to reverse certain health elements, you know. It could be worse, but you can just kind of cope to learn to live with them as comfortably as you can. I think it comes down to lack of education, really.
And can you, for viewers watching, can you also get diabetes, regardless of the sort of obesity factor, but be considerably unhealthy and not necessarily obese, but slim, and still get diabetes?
It's not always linked to obesity, so you can be quite slim to look at, but you can still have issues, you know, with diabetes. Just like you can be slim and have a problem with cholesterol as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So you don't necessarily have to visually look, you know, quite
big
big
to
again, this
goes
back to lack of education as well. A lot of people think if you're slim, you're not going to get certain things, but
I think it's good to make people aware that even if you're slim, you can get it. I mean, you know, with regards to sort of the treatments and the time that's spent on it, I mean, what effect do you think this is having on our NHS system?
Like a lot of things, it's causing a lot of strain to the NHS system, and I keep repeating saying it goes back to prevention as well. If you can prevent in the first place, then obviously that's the best way. I think we need to start talking a little bit more about health elements such as diabetes, maybe in our communities, maybe even in the Gurdwara, in the temples as well. We could have some programs. I'm not aware if they're doing that at the moment, just to create a little bit more awareness before we do find that we're becoming dependent on insulin injections and tablets and other things. So.
Do you think that there's something that the government could potentially do, like have some sort of schemes in place, or I mean, I don't know if they do already, but have something that would also create that awareness? Because, you know, if you go to the temple, there's only a certain community or a certain amount that will go there, whereas when it's broadcasted on TV somewhere that everyone, you know, watches or looks at, I think that that's something that would create more awareness. Do you feel that the government should be prioritising this as an issue?
I think the government do quite a lot at the moment. Whether it's specifically targeted at the Asian community, I don't know. I'm not aware of that at the moment. I think that's what we need to get down to, like you said. But it is creating awareness, and I think we need to talk about it. I think in the Asian community generally, we don't talk about health elements until we are diagnosed with something. Unfortunately, it's not a topic. Like a lot of topics are not discussed. I think that's what we need to do. We need to talk
I think that some people feel that certain subjects are taboo subjects, so you shouldn't talk about them. And that's why we have shows like Rendezvous. Now we're going to take a very quick break now. Keep tweeting your views on diabetes, and I'll see you on the other side.